And how's like you're out on the beers and like you wake up the next morning sober, you're like, oh no, what have I done?
It was
What have
literally, I looked at my
The
phone and
band's
went,
back.
no.
After a 6-year hiatus, Letters to Lions is back and are getting ready to release a brand new EP early next year. Since their return, they've played sold-out shows and released some fresh and dynamic tunes called My Hair is a Little Bit on Fire and Nintendo. We sat down with Adam and Joel from Letters to Lions ahead of their gig at the Beaches Hotel. We're here at the Beaches. We're going to start off by talking about your gig tonight.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, how are you feeling about it? This is your first time at the Beaches. What's the atmosphere like?
Yeah, so far it's great. Yeah, Beaches is a real ritzy joint.
My first time in Newey. So
Your first time in
I don't even know where we are. Like I was driving in and I was like, oh, I've never been here. Like this is nice. Yeah. It's always nice like going to a place where you don't know where you are, I reckon.
Nah, you've been to Newey before.
Oh, I reckon I've been there
maybe
once
10
and I was
10 years
quite
ago.
drunk and like don't remember it. So it doesn't count.
Played
you know?
played the old Cambo.
Yes.
That was the time.
Yeah.
Don't remember it. But we played with who was the band?
Jones the Cat.
Oh, no way.
And there was another band as well. They're massive now.
Oh, Vacations.
Vacation.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Fucking like 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
nuts.
Heyday.
Yeah, absolutely. And so you've actually just finished a hiatus of 6 years. Can you tell me about what happened? What made you want to take a break? And was it a decision or did it just happen?
I feel like, because we started this band in like 2012.
Yeah.
Maybe even
Earlier.
before.
We were in high school when we
Wow.
Like
started.
I met Durs at school and I was like busking with Gunny in like Cronulla Mall,
Yeah.
like playing in like Gloria Jeans and shit. Like it was heaps funny. And then we just started this band and we just did it for ages and then we went to Canada and just got back and just was like, we'll have a little break. Ended up being 7 years.
Yeah. I think we hit it pretty hard for the first couple of years. And I think like a lot of the pressures that we'd put on ourselves to deal with like our own mental health and the things around that, like we were just like young, and I don't think we were really equipped to deal with those pressures that came and like, we're looking back and I've only learnt this in hindsight from looking back. Like we're all struggling, but like no one really knew how to talk about it. You know? And it's been like kind of a beautiful thing. Like since we've gotten the band back together recently, like we talk so much about where we're at mentally, and So
I reckon it's kind of like a good thing it happened because like now it's like we're starting this band again. It's like it was like 7 years ago and we're starting a band again.
Yeah.
It's like a new band.
Yeah.
Which is cool because we're all just so pumped to,
be
do another crack.
Yeah, and we're here as like mates, and like there's no. I think like the pressure that we put on ourselves of like being a successful band, whatever that means, like isn't really there.
Yeah.
Like now we've got the hindsight of just like enjoying every minute for like exactly what it is, and like all it is just like four old mates getting together to play.
Yeah.
100%. But yeah, it's an amazing thing. Like, if you asked me 2 years ago when the hiatus was going to end, I would have probably said never. But here we are.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I was the same. Like when you reached out to me, I was just like, something just sparked. It was like I was just working, and to be honest, I stopped playing music for a bit, and I was just like, I don't know, it was like a lull. Yeah. And then you just reached out, and I was like, this fucking spark just hit, and I was like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
It's been like 7 years, and it just went like fucking that.
Fully. Well, the way it all came, way the band coming back together, came about was I was overseas, and I was in LA, and I was talking to a dude in Australia who just so happens now to be our booking agent. But he was asking me, he runs a festival up on the Sunshine Coast, and he was asking if like we were just hanging out, and he was like, "Oh, I'd love for you to play my festival," and I kind of like brushed it off, and he was like, "I got to ask you, Letters to Lions, like, what would it take to get you to get back together and play my festival?" And I was like, "Oh, bro, like, I don't know, like, I don't think it'll ever happen." You know, and just kind of like wrote it off, and I was like, "Oh, nah." And then, you know, the night went on, and we had like a couple of beers, and he kept pushing and was like, "Just message the boys." And I was like, "Fine, yeah." And I was pretty drunk at this point, so I messaged the guys, and I was like, "Would you guys want to get back together just to play one-off festival?" And I think Joel was the first to message back, and he was just like, "Fuck it, let's get the band back together. Let's
I was like, yeah, let's do it.
let's do it."
And how's like you're out on the beers and like you wake up the next morning sober, you're like, oh no, what have I done?
It was
What have
literally,
I done?
I looked at my
The
phone and
band's
went,
back.
"No."
No, let's
No,
do
it's-
another 7 years.
No, it's been the best.
Yeah, and you've come back to open arms. I mean, you have just played 3 of your first shows like back in Sydney, which you didn't spend a single dollar on marketing and sold out every single big show.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
How does it feel to have so
Yeah.
much support? And
Those shows were crazy.
Yeah.
It was so much fun, and like, it's like the smallest room, and it's, you know, it was 3 nights, and like we, you know, it's been 7 years. We haven't really, to be honest, we didn't play that much before, and we kind of just winged it.
that's cool.
But, you know, it went
We still
well.
got it.
We still got it, you know.
We all live very far apart from each other now, so it's really hard to like get together and practice. So
We're actually, we got our good mate Frank filling in on bass tonight because Jacko's up in Brizzy. And so
Yeah, and so the 3 songs that you've released so far since you've been back, how long have they been in the bank for? Were they ones that were there before the hiatus, or?
My Hair's a Little Bit on Fire. The chorus of that song,
that was in Canada
we wrote that when we were in Canada.
7 years ago.
So I think the kind of last big thing that the band did before we like broke up all that time ago, we did a national tour across Canada.
Yeah. That's wild.
It's super wild for us because like
It was so raw.
Yeah,
like,
it was
we
so
didn't
raw.
even know what we were doing. Like
Right.
we played Canadian Music Week, and like there was some funny shows.
we got
Like 2 people in the crowd just going like,
We got
it
a
was good, eh?
we had a booking agent in Canada from those shows, and then we came back to Australia and he called us up and was like, "I've got a tour for you across Canada. It's all booked. All you have to do is get there." And that was like the only info we'd had on what the tour was. And like it was wild. Like one night we'd played like a festival to like 5,000 people and it was sick. The next night we were in like Regina playing like a year 10 school disco at like a community hall.
I remember that one. That was weird. That was weird.
What
And
was it like rocking up to that gig?
it was like we were in like a little like school hall or something. And
It was
like,
awesome.
It was like a
though,
little
'cause,
PA.
like, because they're all like
Their parents were there.
Like and they all just thought we were like the biggest thing to ever hit Regina. They were like, "There's this Australian band
Didn't even know it was a place.
that's come over to like play our school disco," and they're all like getting us to sign their shirt, and like we were there being like, "What are we doing?"
Yeah.
But it was awesome, you know. And so after that, the last 2 weeks of that tour, we just rented a cabin on Vancouver Island and hired a bunch of recording gear and just kind of demoed some songs. So a lot of this new material is kind of comes from those demos that we did in that cabin in what was it called? Bear Creek?
Black Creek, I think.
Black Creek. So yeah, and like we kind of went through all those songs and went, all right, what do we like about this and what do we don't like? And so My Hair was like, that was the chorus. So I just took that away and we
And
rewrote.
there's still probably like another 15 more songs like just in Jacko's lappy, just never, just sitting there, just chilling.
So there's like, I think Nintendo was pretty fresh. Nintendo didn't come from...
Well, you wrote that pretty recently.
Yeah, as soon as we kind of decided to get the band back together, I just...
Unleashed, just like...
Yeah, I just went skits and probably... I've just been sitting at home just writing for this project since it's kind of done. I think there's probably like 40 songs there that we just now have to sort through.
Yeah. The hardest part's just picking them, I reckon.
Yeah.
Like, because, there's just so many. And, like, when you're playing a song, like with me, if it's been, like, a bit, I just get sick of it. And I'm like, oh, no, like, what about this one? What about this one? What about... And then it just never ends.
Yeah.
You just got to pick it.
Yeah.
And, that's the hardest thing, I reckon.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Can you walk me through the inspiration for My Hair is a Little Bit on Fire? Because personally, when I listen to it, I hear this, like, childhood naivety. Like, it just sounds really youthful and
kind
innocent.
of. Yeah. If you can imagine, like, 4 20-year-old, like, best mates.
Yeah.
I think the kind of...
I feel like we just tried to be a little bit more careless with our... And, like, we kind of all sing now and, like, chime in. So we kind of took a bit of a shift, which is cool. A bit more energy.
Yeah.
It's just different.
That about you guys. It sounds amazing.
We used to write a lot of songs as they'd be like, my song, your song, and sometimes they'd cross over and...
Yeah, and it's like, well, let's just write what we want.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be like, oh, you sing this.
And I think...
There's no rules.
Yeah.
I think the way we used to write as well was like everything, like every second of every song had to be like the fucking masterpiece.
Right.
You know, like...
Okay.
And whereas like... So, we'd like sit there and sweat over lyrics and be like... Is it ambiguous enough? Is it like, meaningful enough? Whereas like, now we're writing about like just stupid things that
like,
we've done.
My Hair is a Little Bit on Fire was like a night out at the Horseshoe Tavern in Toronto. And I was watching this band and I was so drunk and I thought that their band name was My Hair's on Fire. And then we went back and you guys just thought it was the funniest thing, and I was like, "What? Like, what do you mean?"
I just remember
that's the band name, and it wasn't like
crying on like the floor of this youth hostel.
And then that's the song. Like it's
and we just vowed we were like, that's got to be a song. And 7 years later we stuck to it.
Yeah, it's so funny.
But like even Nintendo, like that song, we all used to live together back in the day, and like we just played a Nintendo 64 religiously. So like, all of the songs, I think like when we were writing them, when we were 20 years old, we were trying to write like beyond our years. Whereas like now we're writing them as 30-year-olds, like reflecting on like how good,
How funny is that?
like how good it is to be like real juvenile.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and it's like it's fun. It takes the pressure of it. Like every time I'm strapped for writing lyrics, I just think about like the shit we used to get up to back in the day, and I'm like, oh, there's heaps there,
That's beautiful.
Yeah. It's like all the music's like, I think now it's like a real homage to us,
Yeah, totally.
It sounds like a celebration of your friendship.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah, it is.
So I have one last question for you. You've got an EP coming out early next year.
Ish.
Ish. Can you let us in a little bit on what we can expect?
High energy. Lots of screaming and squeals. Nah. I don't know. It's just so different to what we've done, and like we're just so stoked on it, and the next piece of art after that will probably be completely different. Which I think's so cool.
It's a funny one because it's like, because we kind of all live like a substantial distance from each other. It's less like we're working on like a body of work at a time. Like I think we just work on individual songs at any point, and it's like the thing is just like we have 6 songs. Let's make that an EP, you know, and it's like less the focus of like on what the EP is, and it's like each individual song is like their own kind of
Well, they all tie in anyway. If it's like they're all wrote around the same time.
For
if
sure.
you're in the same mindset, it's all gonna work.
For sure, but it's just I think the next song gets even faster and harder, and then the next single we got after that is even quicker. So I think we're just like writing real fun, like fast party songs.
The tempo just keeps going up.
That's what we can expect.
Yeah.
So what's it like? Sorry, I said that was my last one.
No, it's
but
so fun.
What's it like listening back to the stuff that you wrote before the hiatus? Like, how do you feel about it these days?
It's pretty crazy because with Mushrooms, that song came together so quickly, and like it wasn't even a single, and we didn't think it was going to be as big as what it was, and you know, it's so we didn't even release it on like YouTube or anything, didn't make a music video, just put it in there, and that was the song that people like.
Yeah, like 8 million streams later. Like if it wasn't for that song, we probably wouldn't have got the band back together. You know.
That's crazy.
But yeah, like, you know, all the old songs have their like nostalgic value. There's like sometimes I listen to them and like you can't help but be like a little bit like,
You're just like, ooh, did we do that?
kind of cringe a little bit at times. But then, you know, you also go, oh, we wrote that song when we were 18, 17. So, you know, like, and with that, like, I love them. They all have their, like, firm place in my heart. Whether or not I can listen to them, enjoy them, is like...
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I'm sure you'd be transported back in time to like, you know, that younger version of you when you listen to it.
Totally. And that was like the funny thing, I think, like getting the band back together was like, you know, readjusting my mindset to be like, all right, I'm writing songs for like an indie boy band, you know, like, and like, I'm pretty out, or like for the last like 6 years or so, I've been pretty out of like the indie boy band scene. So I was like, what does that mean? You know, like what is that?
How do we do that?
What does that look like? But it's cool because, you know, I think like, I don't think I've been looking at like writing indie songs from a part of an indie scene. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's like this, I mean, maybe the songs sound the same, but for me it's like they're crafted differently because they come from somewhere that's not that scene or that sound. You know? Which I think is like maybe something that makes the new sound unique.
Yeah, definitely.
Or crap, who knows?
You've probably not been as swayed as much. Into a box.
Yeah, you know, and it's like, you know, I'll always be shooting random messages to Joel or Jackson being like, I've got this crazy idea. What about this? And, you know, it's cool because, like, we're not boxed in anymore.
Yeah, totally.
It's beautiful.
You know, and, like, we're doing lots of co-writes, lots of collabs. Been working a bit with Lupo the Boy.
Yes. Shirt, by the way. That's so good. Lupo the shirt.
Have you seen his new one?
So good. No, I don't think so.
You're gonna be
What's it look like?
You're gonna be here
actually
tonight?
Let's see.
Yes.
Well, you'll see it.
Well, thank you so much for spending some
Thanks,
time
Bonnie.
with me. Before
Thanks
we
for
get
having
on
us.
stage. It's been so good to chat.